All right, so the next lesson here, we're going to be talking about setting up your website with Google Search Console. The purpose of Google Search Console is one, so that you can see the traffic that's coming into your website from Google Search. It's also going to allow you to index URLs on a regular basis that you need to, as well as you can check maybe Google has any type of penalties against your site because of maybe spam or anything like that. But it gives you a good variety of things to look at, usability, and also the traffic, average rankings that you're receiving as well for your website. And we'll show you that when we get to the actual dashboard. You should have already downloaded the Google Analytics plugin for WordPress. And then you want to make sure that you do get your account set up in Google Analytics. So just real quickly, we'll go ahead and get that going. So we'll go ahead and add our domain. All right, and we'll go ahead and click next, next. www. And we'll go ahead and click on New York. All right, so now that we've got our website into Google Analytics, we will go ahead and verify that. Get access code. You want to make sure that you're logged into your Google Analytics account, into your Gmail account when you use the plugin. So just make sure you do keep that in mind. So we do allow that, and then we want to copy this code and put it into the access code. And now our Google Analytics is set up. So then we want to go into Search Console. I did post the URL to get into Search Console, but you can just come into Google, hit Search Console in the search bar. It should be that first or second result. Click on Start. Now, this is the setting that we're going to want to use when we get our website verified into Search Console. You want to use the URL prefix. So you want to use the exact match here. You want to make sure that you have the full URL, including HTTPS, www, etc. We do recommend using multiple versions of your domain, whether it's the HTTPS version or the non-HTTPS version. So you may have to upload these more than once, but just keep that in mind. But in this case, we use the certificate SSL certificate version, and then it's going to tell you that's been verified, and then we can go to property. Now, once we do this, we can actually type in, if there's maybe a couple URLs and pages that are ready to get indexed, we can go ahead and type in the full URL here. Google does allow you they give you a quota of about 10 URLs per day to get indexed. But we'll just go ahead and use this for time's sake. So we can go ahead and hit the URL, hit enter. And it's saying that it's not indexed on there. And then you want to click on request indexing. And that will take just a couple of seconds while that's going. You can see performance, and we'll cover the performance tabs, setting up your, you can take a look if there's any links pointing to your site, if there's any manual actions. So that has been set into the queue, and we can test this to see how Googlebot is actually crawling your website on their search engine to see how they look at your site. So that while that's testing, again, Search Console, it's really good just for making sure that, again, you don't have any penalties. You can, or also making sure that your websites are indexed as well. So it is going to take a few minutes before that is fully indexed, and I'll show you some different ways to test whether your domain or that URL has been indexed in Google. But for this one, we're going to look at security manual actions. Is going to be if there's anything, if there's been a penalty against your site, any security issues maybe you need to fix on your website. You can also test your speed of your website, as well as the biggest thing is we're going to be looking at performance. So once we do index a brand new URL and the brand new domain, it's going to take a few days before you start to see any metrics here. In that case, it's going to tell you all the queries, so the keywords that you're ranking for, which pages, countries, devices, searches, and so forth. So you can see kind of it'll show you a scale of what it looks like as far as your rankings go. So you can kind of see, within a certain time period where you're ranking, how many clicks you've gotten, your click-through rates. That's what CTR stands for. So you can come in here and see the averages of where you're ranking for some different terms. And then you can also just take a look at, your graph charts. So you can also pick it for, 30 days, 3 months, 6 months. So you can kind of see a good graph of where you stand for rankings on Google and how many clicks you've gotten and so forth. So once we come in here, we can do a couple things. You can do type in site and then colon, and you can put in the domain name, and that will tell you whether the domain has been indexed yet. In this case, it doesn't look like it has quite yet. Well, actually, it looks like it just now got indexed. So make sure that you do use it without the HTTPS. As you can see here, it looks like the domain has now been officially indexed on Google. You want to do it for each major URL. So if you use, if this is going to be CBD gummies, you want to come in here, copy that, and you want to make sure that you're on the correct property. So we can use that entire URL. And then we can request that indexing. And again, that does take a couple minutes. So that's how you set up your Search Console. If you got any questions, please jump into the Facebook group. Thank you.